holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. I'm waiting because it still says muted. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. It's our Friday night show, and we are absolutely amped to be here with you. Hope you guys are having a great night. Happy weekend to you. You made it. It's the tough part's over, hopefully. But I've got a great announcement here tonight. I brought back a fan favorite. My good friend, my co-host, my right hand, literally, he's sitting right over there.
Oh, wait. You going to put me on camera? I'm topless. You can't put me on camera.
Yeah, we're going to have to go with it, Don. We're going topless here, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Don Longbeard, welcome to the show, brother.
Yes, I actually do have hair.
You do. You're not bald. The hat is not a coping mechanism.
Yes, it is.
Oh, is it? Okay, sorry about
that. It covers up the bald spot right back here.
I forgot to do one thing here, so I'm doing that now as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. You know, I took this chance to rest a little bit up and, just kind of casually do the podcast through the week, and get that set up and almost ready. It's almost done. But it was a nice break. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, we missed you, obviously.
Oh, well, thank you.
But you know what? You're hardcore. You're hardcore.
Hardcore.
He gets done driving back from Minnesota, right? And he gets back at early noon, 1 o'clock-ish, I suppose, on Wednesday, and then jumps into a Wednesday stream for 2 hours. That's hardcore.
It was, I really missed it, is what it was. I was gone for all that time, and I really missed doing the shows. I love doing the shows.
Right.
And of course, it's just that, this is such an extension of me now, as it is for you. I mean, it's just part of our lives. Yep, and so when that's missing, it was, that's why I streamed while I was there. But I just couldn't wait to get back and, sit back in the studio and see that chat rolling and talk to you guys. So.
What he's saying is you're all family and he loves you.
Absolutely.
Not to say I don't love you too, but he's the one that was gone, not me. I was here for you.
Don was always here. So, Don, you actually look younger without your hat.
What?
Android says that, yeah.
Well, thanks, Android.
All right. Very cool.
Because you can't see all the gray up here.
You can't see all the gray. But, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines will be open throughout the duration of the show. If you want to call in, you sure can. 720-923-0500. And that's even open for pocket dialing. Wes pocket dialed us the other night.
Oh, did he? That's awesome.
Nobody answered. I'm like, hello. And then he wrote back in the chat, oh, God, that was me.
Well, it's that's not the first time he's pranked us.
Oh, no. I think this was unintentional, though. But you know what's first on the list, don't you, brother?
The news?
The news. We haven't changed a thing. Just like old times.
Just like.
All right, let's get to the news, folks, and see what's going on in the world. All right. Let's see. I got to actually pull up a camera here. All right. There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go.
There we are. We're live. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal News broadcast segment of our show. And this is where we talk about all kinds of odd news and weirdness, and some of it's even paranormal, but none of it's normal. Well, it might be, actually. Sometimes it's normal, too.
It feels like it. Like, is that happening again?
Nowadays, cool. everything is normal. Just ask anybody.
Apparently.
Okay, well, heading up our broadcast, I found this one, and I don't know. I didn't reread it. I didn't pre-read it, so this is going to be news to us all. But let's see what it says. This is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and they're talking about Mars InSight mission unveils surprising secrets. Well, we're all excited about what's going on Mars, right?
Yeah,
so let's see what
absolutely.
this has to say. How big is it? Oh, it's a huge article.
It's not that big.
It's kind of big.
Jeez.
It's a lot bigger than I thought it was
You've
when
been
I
gone
pulled it
for a
up.
week.
I know, I got to
Yeah,
speed read this.
keep
The
going.
space probe, which landed in 2018, has revealed some surprising findings about the planet's interior. The results, published in 3 studies in Science, throw up some unexpected findings about Mars' interior, including a very large core. Yes, Mars has a core. Now you can sleep better at night knowing that. Though Mars has no tectonic plates, the first Mars quakes were detected within months of the probe's landing, and these may result from vibrations caused by meteorites hitting the surface or from processes inside the planet. So there might be stuff going on underneath the skin of Mars. It's difficult to detect quakes on Mars, partly because the seismometer is subject to the extremes of Martian weather, with seasonally changing windy periods obscuring the data, and signals used to probe the Martian interior all come from relatively small quakes, the best among the hundreds detected so far. Planets grow by accumulating material accretion early in the life of the solar system, but their interiors are not a uniform mix of these initial ingredients, and they also undergo differentiation, where some lighter minerals float towards the surface. I think we call that lava. Just kidding. Lava's not a mineral, is it, Don?
Well, no, but I mean, think about like if you put salt and pepper in a shaker.
Yeah.
The pepper is going to come to the top because it's lighter than the sugar.
Oh, sure. Or like gold and everything else.
I'd love to just shake things and have gold come up. That wasn't good. Never mind.
No, I understand. So minerals float towards the surface, while heavier components like iron sink towards the planet's center. We expect rocky planets like Mars to have iron-rich core, followed by a silicate layer called the mantle, and an outermost skin known as the crust. Until now, much of Mars, each of these layers occupied was unknown.
What?
That was a weird. It says until now. Oh, how much of Mars? Each of these layers. That still doesn't make any sense. It's just not a really well written sentence there. It's got a metallic heart. They want to get It's impossible to get a sample of Mars core. Instead, to estimate the size, we used seismic waves called Mars quakes on Earth. The core's radius was first estimated by finding its shadow. An area in the core disrupts the arrival of seismic waves from distant earthquakes, and our study had to rely on a particular kind of slow sideways traveling waves called S waves, which have been reflected back to the surface by the interface between the core and the mantle. Anyway, they found out a bunch of stuff about Mars, so that's cool. We're always learning, and I feel like I'm in school now, so unless anybody wants any more information, I'll link the article, because if you're into this stuff, that's fantastic. I was expecting something much more entertaining, but as it were, that didn't happen. Let me just link this article into the chats, and you guys can check it out if you choose to get more of that story. Maybe it's cool. Maybe it's just a lot of words, and this is Don's first night back.
A lot of words.
It's just a lot of words. So let's continue on here. Let's go to the next story. That's a little bit about what they're learning about Mars, in case that's something that interests you. All right, here we go. This one is kind of creepy. Recently, in the recent past, there was a movie called The Revenant. Wasn't that with Leonardo?
Yes.
Yeah, where a guy.
Decapitated.
Yeah, DiCaprio, or
Right, that
Tated. But he was playing this apparently true story of a man who had been mauled by a bear and yet made it back to save, to civilization even after he was left for dead.
That's too bad.
And a hell of a story, as I understand it. I haven't seen it, but here's an article.
It was a good movie, yeah.
You did see it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. Well, there's an article from unexplained-mysteries.com. Real-life revenant rescued after bear attack. A man has been rescued from the Alaskan wilderness after enduring repeated attacks by a grizzly. Repeated, Don.
Wow.
Like one wasn't enough.
That's like being struck by lightning twice, right?
Shouldn't have worn that bacon underwear. In a scenario that wouldn't have looked out of place in a sequel to the hit movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, the man, who has not been named, had been staying in an isolated hut in the middle of nowhere when he was repeatedly attacked by a large bear that wouldn't leave him alone. Believed to be in his 50s or 60s, the man had been staying alone in an abandoned mining camp around 40 miles from Nome when he was first attacked by the bear and dragged down by the river.
Wow.
After managing to escape the beast, he took refuge inside his shack. However, the bear kept returning night after night, preventing him from sleeping for several days.
Wow.
With no way to call for assistance, he was only rescued after a passing helicopter just happened to spot him outside waving a white flag.
Yeah, I give up.
We don't really come across people in the middle of nowhere, said co-pilot Lieutenant A.J. Hammock. He was kind of struggling. When we came around, he was on his hands and knees waving the white flag. He definitely looked like he'd been out there for a while. The helicopter crew found that the door to the man's shack had been completely torn off.
Wow.
He is now recuperating from his ordeal and should hopefully go on to make a full recovery and probably land some pretty lucrative Hollywood contracts.
No doubt.
Wow, how horrid is that?
Yeah, that'd be crazy. You know,
Oof.
and those aren't bears you mess with. You don't
No.
even look at them sideways.
No.
You just look at them dead on and hope you get away.
You just get the hell out of there. Oh man, that's absolutely terrifying. They say you can play dead, but I think that guy was.
I don't think that's.
I don't think that probably worked.
Now, if you're with your crazy grandma, that might work. But
Maybe.
bear there.
There you go.
Wow.
That's a crazy story, but apparently true, folks. Here's one. I hope this one's not a really longy one. Let me scan it first before we get on to it.
Go for it.
It's awesome. It's perfect.
We're doing this.
And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Again, U.S. Air Force
Air Force. Oh, okay.
report references defensive force fields. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just the realm of science fiction anymore. The report, which focuses on directed energy weapons, suggests that force fields could soon become a reality. Released by the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory at Kirtland Air Force Base, the report provides an analysis of investments into directed energy technologies, how these will develop over time, and whether or not the United States will be leading the field in the coming decades. Despite being a relatively new class of weapon system, directed energy, according to the report's authors, could now be critical to the U.S. military's future successes. Perhaps the most interesting thing about the report, however, is its references to force fields, something that has until now been mostly the stuff of science fiction. According to the authors, a sufficient large fleet or constellation of high-altitude DEW systems could be used to provide a missile defense umbrella as part of a layered defense system, if such concepts prove affordable and necessary. I think, I don't know, is that like saying, if you're worth it?
Yeah.
They may work in some areas, but it might not be cost effective in other areas. That sounds a little creepy. Other applications for force field listed in the report include counter-drone defense systems, or counter-drone systems, counter-missile systems, and even a pain ray.
Oh, gosh.
The pain ray.
Pain ray.
Boy, they must have stayed up all night thinking of that name.
Hey, we're doing a lottery.
Oh, that hurts. Let's call it the pain ray. all using variations of directed energy technology. By 2060, we can predict that directed energy systems will become more effective, and this idea of a force field includes methods to destroy other threats too. AFRL's Direct Energy Deputy Chief Scientist Jeremy Murray Creason said in an accompanying press release, eventually there may be potential to achieve the penultimate goal of a nuclear or ballistic missile umbrella.
Yeah, because that's what we need. Well, an umbrella, okay.
Umbrella, yeah. It's fun to think about what might be in 2060, but we don't want to speculate too much. Well, they might have force fields, Don. That's pretty cool. I think that's kind of exciting, really.
Yeah, it kind of is. You know, I mean, we wouldn't have to worry about the Russians bombing us.
Or anybody else that gets sick of us, or if we, anybody.
UFO flies over, disarms it, and just drops. I was no big deal.
No, we got to be more positive than that.
Yes, yeah.
Let's be a little more
Yeah,
positive.
they won't drop a bomb on us, so they'll come down and eat us.
Put us on a plate. All right, here
as
we
long
go.
As I don't get cored first, I'll be fine.
They don't seem to do that to humans, as far as I know.
That we know of.
Must be an acquired taste. We're like the coffee of the cores. Okay, here's another one from unexplained-mysteries.com. Family sleeps on balcony to avoid an angry ghost.
Wow.
Yep. Apparently these ghosts are kind of running the roost over there.
Apparently.
A French couple and their children have found a rather unique way of dealing with the haunting in their apartment. When the couple, Patricia and David, moved into their new apartment in Semcoda, France last year, they were initially very pleased with their new accommodation. Before long, however, the building, which was originally a hangar before being converted into apartments, started to take on a more sinister atmosphere thanks to a spate of paranormal occurrences. I know, right? That left the couple struggling to find peace of mind. It started with black shadows, they told Le Progrès. Le Progrès? I don't know how to say that. I'm not French, of course. But then it got louder. The light would randomly go out. The TV turns on by itself. The phone freezes for no reason. The dishes make strange noises, etc. When they called a medium to investigate, they were told the apartment was haunted by the hostile spirit of a 19th century woman who was trapped there and wanted them to leave. Terrified of the aggressive spook and unable to simply move to another apartment, the couple took matters into their own hands and decided to sleep outside on the balcony in a tent. That must be a big balcony out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
They've since maintained this unusual sleeping arrangement for over a month. Whether they will ever be comfortable venturing back inside, however, remains to be seen.
Wow.
That's terrible. The thing, if they're not going to pay rent, they need to get the hell out.
Yeah. Pay rent or clean house.
Yep. Drag a vacuum or fork up some rent. Let's go. I don't know. That's terrible. That's not a good haunting, Don.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. If something bumps you out of your house that's not terrestrial, it's time to get the hell out.
It's not a terrestrial bumping at all. Bumping.
Apparently, Gigi went from Gigi to Wee Wee.
Oh, no. Oui, oui.
Wee Wee.
Oui, oui,
That's
monsieur.
Anyhow,
All right.
Wee Wee, me more.
Comment allez-vous? Here is another one from unexplained-mysteries.com in our newscast tonight. Man has spent 30 years hunting for Nessie.
Oh, she's in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah. He's probably in the wrong place. He's in the wrong place. Poor guy. He didn't get the memo. He doesn't tune in, apparently.
Move to New Zealand.
Yeah. Steve Feltham has spent 3 decades watching over Loch Ness for signs of the enigmatic monster. For most people, looking for signs of the elusive Loch Ness monster amounts to glancing over the water in the hope of catching a brief glimpse of a dark shape disappearing beneath the murk. For Steve Feltham, however, looking for the creature has become a lifelong obsession.
Yeah. He lives there.
Yeah. Originally from Dorset, Feltham began his search for the world's most famous lake monster back in 1991 after being fascinated with the possibility of its existence. Having given up his house, his job, and his girlfriend, wow, this guy is dedicated.
Dedication, yeah.
To focus on finding the elusive beast, he now lives in a mobile home, which is parked on a permanent basis on the shores of the loch at Doris. He's since made a living selling miniature models of the monster to visiting tourists. That's pretty smart. Hitting them in the pocketbook. That's good. Now, 30 years on, his passion for finding the creature remains strong. I'm a free man doing exactly the thing I love doing, he told the press and journal. I'm not trying to show the world that here's the final proof that solves the mystery. I'm addicted to the chase. I'm addicted to finding the new pieces of evidence. And that's what keeps me going, that adventure. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I got to respect that. I don't know how dumping his girlfriend helped his cause, but I guess it's a distraction.
Footloose and fancy free. He can move to the loch and do his thing.
Yeah.
He's the one that did the foreword to Ken's book.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah, The Essential Guide to the Loch Ness Monster and Other Aquatic Cryptids.
Oh, that's Steve Feltham. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. He also writes forewords, ladies and gentlemen. I hope he catches something. I love when new evidence turns up about Nessie, but it seems like it's well, as of late, there's been more than in previous years. I think there's getting to be more and more sightings and more radar hits. I think those are exciting, but Anyway, that's kind of cool. I wish him all the best. I hope he finds Nessie or finds something that keeps him going. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now this is a weird one. And I don't know how you don't realize this happened.
Oh my goodness.
But apparently this is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. And this definitely goes into the bizarre category. But unexplainedmysteries.com this one's from 2019. So it's a bit older, but doctors find dentures lodged in man's throat. Anybody seen my teeth? Having a tough time swallowing.
I told you I was going to knock your teeth down your throat.
A man who experienced difficulty swallowing after surgery was found to have inhaled his own false teeth.
Wait, he was in surgery and they didn't make him take them out?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't know he had them. Like he might have been having toe surgery or something.
They still make you take those out so you don't swallow them.
Yeah, that might have been good to screen that a little better. But
he rechews his food on the way up.
The 72-year-old started to experience symptoms after undergoing a routine surgical procedure to have a benign lump removed from his abdomen under general anesthetic. He returned to the hospital a few days later complaining of a sore throat and difficulty swallowing.
No kidding.
Oh, my God. However, his condition was initially dismissed as an infection of the airways, and he was sent home.
Did they even say Did they look at all? It's like, how can you hide something like that?
Where is this? Is this in England? Is unable to swallow the antibiotics he had been prescribed? His symptoms worsened still. No. It wasn't until a more thorough examination was carried out that doctors discovered the cause. A metal plate that had somehow become wedged next to his vocal cords.
Wow.
Oh, dear God.
A metal plate.
Oh.
Those aren't dentures.
It was eventually determined that he must have inhaled his own dentures during the surgery.
Why didn't they check? Are those your teeth, sir?
I'm having trouble swallowing. Well, let's look. Let's have a peek. Let's get you an x-ray quick. The case has helped to highlight the importance of documenting dental prosthetics before an operation, especially if the patient is due to be put under general anesthetic.
No doubt.
While it is extremely rare for a patient to swallow their own false teeth, such cases have occurred before. A 2016 review documented 91 such incidents in 28 countries over a 15-year period.
Wow.
91 times. Oof, that poor guy. I mean,
he only did it once.
Well, yeah, he didn't have this problem repeatedly. That's true.
Wow.
This wasn't an ongoing issue for this gentleman.
Right.
However, yeah, you're right.
That'd be an issue. Rachel says at least they were his own dentures. They weren't the anesthesiologists.
They weren't someone else's.
Yeah, here, fit these and see if those.
We need to hold his mouth open. Anybody got anything to put in there?
Oh, let me put my dentures in there.
Oh God.
Amagama.
Ooh, that is creepy. But I will say, ladies and gentlemen, this heralds the ending, I think, of our news. Let me check the time.
The unknown says, "I wonder how long he looked for him before fighting."
I'd really like some steak, but I can't find my teeth. Oh, that poor guy.
Gee, I told you I was topless. If you missed that part, you were late.
Oof. Yeah, it's an adult-only show here tonight. No. Don's going topless.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of the Paranormal Portal News. Let's return to our regularly scheduled program.
Wow.
How's that for a newscast, huh, Don? Did I bring it or what, though, huh?
So G says, how are we not doing a paranormal news segment about Don's hatless head? Yes.
We certainly could, but it'd be a short segment.
Now I'm getting self-conscious. I'd be like,
nah, you look fine.
He's got to get this.
You look younger, remember?
Well, that's what Android said. I appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're edging closer to our first break.
Ever closer.
Ever closer. Happy birthday, Cha. Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, absolutely. I wonder how long you look for them before finding them. Yeah. That's weird. I don't know how you don't know you've inhaled teeth. I mean, he was under anesthetic. But everyone else, I don't know.
Well, before you go under anesthesia, they ask you, do you have any You have any pins and needles in your body? Do you have any, rings on takeoff? And
That's true.
I believe one of those things on the checklist is, do you have dentures?
Or should you have them when you're done? Do you now have dentures, and do you expect to have them when you're done? Yes, I do. How about you remove them?
Take
yeah.
those out.
I can't imagine what that would even feel like to get something that far down. It was next to his vocal cords.
Yeah, and it said a metal plate.
Well, it must have been maybe a partial. Maybe it was just a partial.
Good point. Yeah.
Like not a full upper.
Well, that would explain how it got down his throat a little better, as if it was a partial.
Yeah, I don't know. Oof, that's creepy. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to our first break of the night, as you are well aware. We got a lot more stuff coming up tonight. We're going to get into lots of the UFO stuff. I've got several things pulled up that I want to get into, and I think there's some great articles, and should be a lot of fun to discuss and go over.
Bring it.
And I know it's kind of your wheelhouse, Don.
Let's see what we got.
Of all the paranormal stuff, Don has definitely always been most vested in the UFO stuff.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So I put together kind of a whole show on the UFO stuff.
A whole?
Well, most of it. I think there's some odds and ends here and there, just in case. But we're going to go.
All of them are odds and ends.
Well, we're odds and ends. But
Hi, Brooks.
We're going to get to all that when we come back after the break. I've got a baby face? Really?
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah, throw some baby powder on that. Put a diaper on it.
Oh, baby. No, I got a baby face.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
I don't know what the hell that even means. But thank you. I guess that's good because, I'm, of course, advancing in the age. And so having a baby face is probably a good thing. But anyway, we are going to go into break in just seconds from now. I guess we're probably kind of going in there now. So let's go to break. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. We're in the second half hour. The night is racing by, so we hope you're having a good time so far. We covered the news, and now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. First off, before we jump into all the UFO stuff, there was an article that I bumped into that I thought was very interesting because I did research it after I bumped into it. I was like, is this really possible? And here's the thing. Sometimes you run into stuff that's documented, and I'm not casting any aspersions at anyone. I think for the most part, most sites just repeat report. They repeat report what they see or have picked up from other places, and they may make it their own. However, this was very interesting, and there is more information to this. So I'm going to get into this now. And this is dealing with a heat wave that's been going on over in Kuwait. Apparently, they set some serious records over there. Wow. But it says the article in question is coming from a site called animalien.com. And again, I'm not trying to poke at them. I think that they heard about this and put together their own article, and I'm sure did a fantastic job. But here's the thing. Cars are melting from the 163.4 degree Fahrenheit heat in the sun in Kuwait.
How much?
163.4
Oh my gosh.
Fahrenheit.
Wow.
I don't know what that means Celsius, but that's all kinds of...
It'll tell you. Yeah, 73.
73. Okay, so in Kuwait, the air temperature rose to 163.4 degrees Fahrenheit plus 73 Celsius. Because of this, the plastic parts in the machines began to melt. The unbelievable footage was published by the Algerian news channel on YouTube. According to Kuwait weather forecasters, such heat, which is now established in the country, has not been observed over the past 70 years. Now, it may have been observed before that, so just before anybody gets way alarmist about environmental issues, just understand that this is just in the last 70 years. But they may have recorded high temperatures like this before. In the shade, thermometers show 129.2 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 54 Celsius in the sun. Readings reached 163.4. The footage published by the channel shows that plastic products cannot withstand the scorching heat and melt. So bumpers, headlights of cars parked in the sun literally flow down onto the asphalt. Traffic lights also cannot resist the heat and crumple under their own weight. Kuwait authorities are urging residents to stay out of the sun and stay hydrated. Yeah, I think that's good advice.
Probably a good idea, yeah.
Also, citizens of the country are strongly advised to reduce their electricity consumption, which I can't imagine. I'd be like, nope, screw this, the air's going on. As well as, if possible, replace old air conditioners due to the power grids in large cities cannot withstand the load with modern devices. Below is a video from the Algerian news channel on YouTube. Now, I'm not going to show that, but there are pictures that are shown here that show these cars having melted bumpers and taillights literally dripping onto the ground or having dripped on the ground. And so it says, people are also reminded that gadgets and appliances left in the heat can fail due to severe overheating. Kuwait is a country in Western Asia and is situated at the northern edge of eastern Arabia at the tip of the Persian Gulf, bordering Iraq to the north and Saudi Arabia in the south. As of 2021, Kuwait has a population of 4.5 million people, where 1.3 million are Kuwaitis and 3.2 million are foreign nationals. So that is extraordinarily alarming that could have happened. However, I did some digging because I'm like, wow, is that even possible? Here's what I found. This is an article from the Teller Report, Teller report.com, and this kind of sheds a little new light on it. Let's see. It says, spreading on social network sites, a set of pictures cause panic. It is said that they show the melting of solid objects as a result of very high temperatures in Kuwait. It is true that Kuwait is experiencing a very hot summer, but these images have nothing to do with the heat wave there. The post includes a set of photos all showing melted objects such as car headlights, a waste container, a water tank, and traffic lights. Also, an egg appears in one of them as if it had matured on the asphalt. In the comment accompanying the publication, it said that everything that appears in the pictures is due to the severe heat wave in Kuwait. Horrific scenes in Kuwait to exceed 70 degrees, melting cars, traffic lights, and burning some of them. That was by Mohammed Al-Gabarwa or something like that. The images began circulating on the 4th of July at a time when Kuwait was setting record temperatures. However, these pictures have nothing to do with the heat wave there. The pictures circulating again of melting cars due to the high temperatures in Kuwait, and the real pictures from the U.S. state of Arizona after a fire broke out near the University of Arizona in June of 2018. Damaged the cars that were next to the scene of the accident.
Wow.
So I wanted to point that out because I think it's important to really dig into this stuff and find the truth, because this kind of sensationalism and irresponsible reporting, I think, really causes people to be alarmed and causes people to make rash decisions based on very bad information. It says a search for a photo reveals or shows that melting car headlights leads to it, posted on a Facebook page on June 20th, 2018. His publisher, who lives in Tucson, Arizona, said it was from a fire that broke out at a student housing construction site. The photo was published by local news websites in Arizona and articles about the massive fire that caused the massive damage. The Fact Crescendo website, which checks for false news, also indicated that the photos date back to 2018. Tucson, Arizona. So this goes on and on.
Well, there's one right there. Stop. Right there. It says they also confirmed that cars cannot melt at 62 degrees Celsius because car bumpers, rear doors, and trunks are likely to be made of polypropylenes or polymers, which melt at 179 Celsius. So that's even hotter. That's 3 times hotter.
Yeah. So there you have it. Photos like that are they're especially sensational, and they push a narrative.
Yes.
They get clicks, but definitely check the information.
Oh, I saw that, Rachel.
What?
Yeah, she retracted the message, but
okay.
I saw that.
All right.
It had to do with Uri Geller.
Uri must have melted them from him and his support group. So I just think that's important, though, and I just wanted to illuminate that because that's the kind of stuff that gets people really, really fired up,
yes.
quote unquote. About climate change and stuff like that. And maybe there is something to climate change. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not even really informed on it, so I'm not going to try to espouse an opinion. But I think, everybody that's getting articles like this should just take a minute, do a little research, and maybe you'll find out that, it was hot in Kuwait, but it was, they said not in 70 years have they seen temperatures like that.
Right.
But they didn't say ever. It's just, there seems to be some cycles that may be just natural. And I'm just saying, suspend judgment. Don't get into the hype train.
Right.
So that's my point in bringing that up. And
don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. And there's a lot of people hyping things up. So this one I thought was interesting, though. And this is from animalien.com. And this kind of starts off our talk about the UFO stuff. And this is very new. It's from July 12th of 2021. I hadn't heard of this before, and if any of you out there have more information about it, I'd love to know more about it. But this is a claim that's going on out there that apparently, recently, a huge UFO fleet passed the International Space Station.
Wow.
Right? And they have pictures here. I haven't looked at the accompanying video at all. There's lots of red circles down, so that helps.
That's Gosh, yeah. Did you see that post I made? It was a blank page, and it's got a circle, and it's got arrows that point to it. It says, "Gosh, without this red circle, I would have never noticed it in that corner. It was just a blank page with a circle on it." Like, yes.
There's so much of that. A very strange event took place near the ISS on July 6th of 2021, when the ISS live feed captured hundreds of unknown bright objects moving through space, reports UFO sightings hotspot.blogspot.com. Although many of these unidentified flying objects come from different locations in space, they all follow a fixed trajectory and fly at different speeds, and it seems most of them come from one location. It doesn't look like space junk, since these objects apparently follow a fixed route, and debris from a meteor seems unlikely as the first meteor shower is a month away. From August 10th to August 13th, Earth will pass through a stream of debris from a giant comet, Swift-Tuttle, the source of the annual Perseid meteor shower. While some people seem to think that there are either alien spaceships or a secret government space weapons program, others believe that there's a more simple explanations and arguing that the objects were simply a few of the hundreds of satellites currently hovering above Earth as part of Elon Musk's Starlink network. All this, of course, is in the realm of speculation and theory, as NASA has not released an official statement about the sighting. Dismissed UFOs as a conspiracy theory for decades, ex-U.S. defense officials, sitting politicians, and former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton have all acknowledged that there is something unusual going on in our skies.
No.
It's true, they've acknowledged that. Wow. So has the Navy. So has the Pentagon. To a degree. They said it's unusual. But I don't know. That's kind of exciting. If anybody has any more information. No, I don't know. Maybe it's ice crystals. Maybe it's just something else. I don't know. I'm not real quick to jump on. There's a bunch of UFOs. I don't know. It could be, but maybe it's not. There is a video accompanying this. I will include that in the chats as well. If anybody wants to check out the video after the show, please do. I would love your take on it if you are one of those people that checks it out.
Would you like to know what G says?
Sure. It's a bear? I said, is it a bear? I went right to, is it a bear?
Space bears.
When is the Paranormal Portal after hours show starting?
Can we get through the show first?
How about we do the regular show first? I don't know. Don's already topless. I mean, what more do you want?
Bump, bump, bump.
I don't have a Chuck Wah guitar.
I know. Yeah, you need a brown chicken brown cow.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of after hours behavior, though, right? Topless.
Well, so. I usually make it home first. It's just saying.
Whoa, what am I doing here?
No G.
OG, no G?
No G.
Okay, so we're going to dive into more of this UFO fun.
I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to read that. I didn't get a chance to read that.
Well, we're going to read it tonight, but it's going to be later in the show.
Okay, a little later, but let's get to it.
Absolutely. Here's one that I found from a site called take-quake.com. And there's a little colorful language in this, so I'm gonna edit it as I read it. But it's kind of about Bob Lazar, and I think it's pretty interesting. Now, there's a great documentary out there. I think it's on Netflix. It might be on Prime, but it has to do with Bob Lazar, and it's dealing with his story and really encapsulating his experiences in a pretty well-rounded, well-done documentary. I have watched it, and I was very, very intrigued, but this article kind of encapsulates that as well. A little briefer, obviously,
there
but
you go. Yeah.
We're going to read that now. I don't know if can I do it in 13 minutes?
Yeah, you can do it in 13
Think I can?
minutes. I don't know. Yeah,
I might be able to. Let me blow it up.
So you know what I thought was great about that Jeremy Corbell documentary you did about Bob Lazar?
What's that?
Is that while they were filming it, he was actually raided by an Alphabet Soup agency.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had to shut off the cameras and everything.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, you got to be hitting nerves when you actually get raided.
I got to question the fact that he's still alive, though.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain that either. But here's the article, folks. It's from Take Quake, and it is, aliens are real, and no one seems to care.
Maggie, that's because you're Australian.
Oh.
She says, that's a skill, Brent. Haha, usually I censor the wrong word.
The two biggest unanswered questions in life are, what happens when we die, and are we alone in the universe? Bob Lazar was able to answer one of these questions. I recently was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast I like Joe Rogan, with guest Bob Lazar, and boy, was that the most interesting 2+ hours of recorded radio. Shortly after I watched the Netflix special Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, the podcast went into way more depth, but the documentary showed some awesome visuals that really brought his whole story together. Here are my thoughts. Bob Lazar is a gifted mind. He made particle accelerators in his room, jet bikes, and even threw a jet engine onto his Honda just for kicks. After obtaining local fame for his jet car and casually attending Caltech and MIT, Bob got a job offer. For what, he wasn't so sure, but after his first day on the job, things became more clear. Bob found himself immersed in technology he nor the world has ever seen. His job was to back engineer, recreate an engine from a spacecraft. An engine that, when turned on, emitted its own gravity. It did this by using a stable version of an element that wasn't discovered until many years later, although we still can't figure out how to stabilize that stuff. After running hundreds of tests, he deduced that his engine was otherworldly. And being that it broke the laws of thermodynamics, gravity, and propulsion. This assumption was immediately assured when he saw documents that denoted exactly what star system the craft was from. It wasn't long after that Bob found himself actually working inside of one of the 9 crafts that were housed in the hangar. He notes that in his experience that inside the craft was nothing like he's ever seen. He couldn't even determine what materials it was made from. He noted that one of the crafts was damaged by a projectile of some sort, could have been shot down, or at least one that was dug up, like some dinosaur. The spaceship could have been here millions of years before the T-Rex and the gang. After a few months of working on the engine and 2 levels of the 3-leveled spaceship, he finally got to see it in action. He watched the craft silently take off and bend gravity to move. He noted if you sat underneath the craft and looked straight up, you could not see it because gravity bends light. Fact check that. Literally an invisible entity, these things can be flying around 50 feet from our heads and we wouldn't know. Stay woke. That's interesting, right?
Yeah, it actually is.
Because I didn't see in the native spectrum the one that I saw, but infrared I did. A few months go by, and Bobby decided to bring his toys to not 1, but 3 different test flights. He got away with it the first 2 times, but then he got greedy, and him and the boys were cracking open Crispy Boys and making a night out of it. This would eventually lead to his termination and the begging of the government's war on deleting him from the face, or the beginning, it says begging, from deleting him from the face of the earth. Bob's birth certificate, gone. Bob's transcripts from Caltech and MIT, gone. Bob's history of working for the company, gone. Bob's friends and family, audited by the IRS. But why should I believe his story? This could be a hoax. Here's why. Bob notes an element 115, more than 20 years before it was found on the periodic table. Other scientists discovered the element. They noted that a stable version could have the ability to bend or emit gravity. Bob took 3 separate polygraph tests and passed all 3. Bob was correctly able to explain exactly where and how to get into S4, even specifying a special type of keypad that was just recently found to be used at that site. There is video, poor quality, of him and his 3 friends watching the spaceship. Bob made no money from coming out and telling his story. He donates all proceeds to science. Bob was shot at multiple times by suspicious people. Well, what if Bob didn't go to these schools? Why in the world would anyone hire a kid with no experience and to look at a spaceship? Why aren't there more stories of aliens if this is clear proof? Why doesn't the government just tell us? There are more stories. They're just hard to decipher because of all the absurd hoaxes. Also, it is believed that the government is behind a lot of the hoaxes to dirty the water for the public eye. Also, Nimrods, the government controls the media. In the government's defense, they can't come out and say, hey, we found alien technology. This technology, if perfected, will change the world. Gee, might as well just ask for a war. Could you imagine if a radical organization were able to bend gravity? Rather, it be buried in our desert until we can figure it out first. Before denying to believe in any of this, just look at the facts. There's way more evidence and probability that the story is true than that it isn't. And if you think we are alone, you're wrong. There's 200 billion stars in our galaxy and 200 billion estimated galaxies in our known universe. If there's just one planet orbiting each star, ours has 8, and that over 10 sextillion planets, forget about it.
GTFO.
Yeah. All in all, there's 2 types of people in this world: people who believe Bob Lazar and ignorant people. Stay woke. And that was written by Pex. I thought it was a neat article. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great way to encapsulate this with some really basic truths
Right.
and a little bit of background here. It is really important, I think, that there's so much to his stories and what he has to say. I think the guy, is believable. I guess from just a gut level, I don't see anything wrong with what he's saying. Do you, Don?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Bob Lazar. I mean, do you believe that?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's been the top of the chain of this whole thing since before I was born.
Oh, really?
No, because he was yeah. He came out in the 80s, but this all started in the late 70s for him.
Oh. Okay.
And so, he worked his way through the schools, and then ended up, eventually coming out and doing this thing he does. And he's never wavered, really.
Right.
As you get older, of course, you forget things or the minutia, and people are like, well, you said this. And it's like, yeah, I did. And I stand by that. I just didn't say it this time because, I'm old,
Yeah.
I mean, I forget things. I take my hat off and I put it down. I don't know where the hell it is, I mean, so, yeah, we lose the minutia, but we still have that this is what I experienced and I will never forget it. Just like Bob said.
Right.
I will never forget that day. Never.
Yeah.
But anyhow. So yeah, I do. I think no, Bob's not that old. He's in his late 60s, I think.
Yeah. I
So
think so. Yeah.
But yeah.
Android says the journalist forgot to mention that he was raided by the FBI and ATF.
Yeah.
Those agencies don't raid hoaxers. That's
Right.
a waste of their time. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Absolutely good point.
I don't know. People send SWAT teams after live streamers all the time.
Oh, that's true. God, I was just thinking about that the other day. It's like, wow, what a horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
What a horrible thing to do. So, but anyway, all that aside, I think he's legitimate, or at least it's worth considering, and believe what you want to believe. And maybe there's more to the story than I know. I'm no expert on Bob Lazar, but I think the fact that he came up with the 115 long before it was ever
Right.
established,
Right.
I think that is such a smoking gun.
Right.
I really do, because if
is,
you dismiss everything else, he brought out this element,
Knew about it. Yeah.
talked about it before it was ever publicly public knowledge.
Right.
I think that's really important, right?
Okay, he's 62,
62. Okay.
which is just older than me.
Okay. Bob Lazar.
But I still don't remember where I put my hat.
Well, at least you haven't lost your teeth yet.
Open up, say ah.
We'll give you the Heimlich and see what happens. Maybe your hat will come out. There it is, Don. You inhaled your hat.
Wow.
No, I think that's funny.
Well, yeah, I've got enough hats. I could probably just throw one on. I just walked out the door and forgot it.
I'll give you a do-rag if you want, or
Do-rag.
one of my beanies. No, you look fantastic. So I think Bob Lazar's story is really powerful. Again, I would if you're interested in it and you haven't already checked it out, check out that documentary.
Yeah.
I think they
It was cool.
I really think
way
they did a fantastic job on that. That was really powerful and very well done. And I think that's important. So when we get back
Already?
from
Okay,
break,
cool.
we're at 2 minutes out from break. We are going to go into some black triangle stuff.
Ooh.
And if you get a chance, check out the Facebook group, Paranormal Portal Radio Facebook group, or the fans group, either one, because I posted a slapped ham video compilation on there. I watched it. Some of it seems pretty interesting. Some of it's haunting stuff, but there is a clip on there that allegedly shows what could be a very big triangular UFO. It could just be a really well done fabrication. Apparently, there's some question about textures that are used on the road that seem to repeat, and that would definitely be a red flag for somebody doing CGI or some kind of building.
Right.
But if it's legitimate and it looks really, really impressive, it almost, well, like anything else, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, but it may be something. So check it out. It's kind of interesting, but it's in that slapped ham compilation I threw up on
He's funny.
who? Oh yeah, Callan.
Callan, yeah.
Just like this. I love that smirk he does in that little sideways, head move. I don't know. I keep trying to to copy it because it just cracks me up. But I love Slapped Ham. I like Nuke's top fives too. I think they're very good. And Chills is sometimes really good too.
Chills has good shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
But anyway, those videos are out there, and there's certainly a lot of the triangular craft and even pyramid-shaped craft that are out there. And, take them or leave them. Maybe they're absolutely fake. I think probably if they're on Facebook or on YouTube, rather, they're probably fake. But maybe there's some real ones out there.
Yeah.
And like this article suggested, the government may be really doing a lot of that just to obfuscate the whole topic.
Right. Yeah.
Throughout, for every one real video, there's probably 50 fakes.
Right.
Or some astronomical number. There's enough out there that most people just dismiss it as soon as they see it. Fake. Fake. And maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. So you got to have a discerning eye. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our hour break now.
Wow.
It's that time. So hang on. We'll be right back as soon as we can for another full hour of the Paranormal Portal. So don't go away.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me, and their lies keep on
Well, we're almost back, ladies and gentlemen. Just waiting for the network to pick us up. I think they got a bumper over there still, but welcome back. Hope you had a good break. Don, did you have a good break? Mm-hmm. we jammed on the feed bag quick because both Don and I are famished, so we had a bite. I had a couple bites, actually, but we're just waiting for the network to pick up, and we will be live and in charge here. Remember, the phone lines are open. If you've got something to share, please call in. 720-923-0500.
So Rachel says, I wonder if differently shaped UFOs mean different aliens or different modes of engine propulsion. So, yeah, different races and such. I would imagine that not everything's the same. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you go from here to Russia, the cars are different. A little bit, but they're still different.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean.
Maybe.
One type of propulsion could be, one particular race of extraterrestrial or whatever that PC term is nowadays. Because you can't call them aliens, right?
I don't think so.
So, or different shapes, maybe one colony civilization, one civilization found that this is the best one to use for them, and the others use spheres or cylinders or whatever.
Very true.
So, yeah, I think it does.
Well, we're back on the air on TFR as well, folks. So we are live and underway here. I guess I should have known that the lead into the TFR for the second hour is always a little longer because it does the poltergeist thing.
The poltergeist thing, yeah.
That's right. But we are back at it. Hope you had a good break and are ready to dive back into the weirdness that is the Paranormal Portal. Are you ready, Don?
I's ready now.
Don's ready now. We're better fed than we once were.
Boy, that is some good pizza, though, Brent.
It is, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
In town here, we got this pizza place. It's
awesome.
Called Second Avenue Pizza, and it's like
second to none.
Really, it's really pretty epic, and it's like a lot of food on there. So you take one bite, and it's like a whole slice of Domino's. It's really
it's like the whole dang pizza of Domino's.
So it's pretty epic stuff. But anyway, welcome back. And remember, the phone lines are open if you want to call in and be a part of the discussion. The phone number is 720-923-0500. And if you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, or TalkStream Live, remember that following the Paranormal Portal, you can listen to Paisley Wild, The Spaces Between.
Yep.
Yes, and you can oftentimes catch the Longbeard on there, too.
Oops.
I guess he's over there. Sorry. Which side? I got to mirror it for the cameras because everything changes. But
you mean like that guy over there?
Right, that's me. That's me, folks. Me and my baby face.
All right. Hey, MCAT. Nice to see you, bud.
Good to see you, MCAT. Great to see all of you guys. Thank you all for being here and being part of our journey. There's quite a few of you here. And let's get into more of the fun that is the Paranormal Portal. And we're going to talk about an article now from How and Whys, HOW and A&D and then WHYS.
That's interesting.
.com. How and Whys. And this is an article I found. It's actually one I've pulled up for a long time but never actually read. But there, I got better. This is about the U.S. Air Force built black triangle UFO that could fly to the edge of space using alien artifacts.
Duh.
Gosh,
Bezos and Mr. Virgin Galactic had that. They would have been in space a long time ago.
I saw a meme about the Bezos flight.
I know.
The one about the shape of the craft.
Yep.
It was like, oh my God. It really did look very phallic, I will say that. I'm not sure who was on the design team for Jeff Bezos, but
I think they're messing with him. It's like a Disney princess movie cover.
Oh my God, yeah. There you go. Looked like it could have been. But anyway, U.S. Air Force built black triangle UFO that could fly to the edge of space using alien artifacts. Let's get into this and see what it's all about here. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, many people, including government officials, reported about huge triangular-shaped unknown craft cruising above them silently. In Belgium and the United Kingdom, those craft were seen by the masses. The UK authority called them secret spy planes sent by the United States during the Cold War. Since then, the mysterious black triangle UFOs have been seen around the world. Dr. Michael Salla, known for his best-selling books on secret space programs, discussed the U.S. Air Force top secret program, Aurora, in his book, U.S. Air Force Secret Space Program, Shifting Extraterrestrial Alliances and Space Force. Oddly enough, Donald Trump started the Space Force. Interesting. Well, I'm just saying, that's a little bit of a coincidence, isn't it? According to him, Edgar Fauch, who served in the U.S. Air Force and Department of Defense, confirmed that during the 1970s, the U.S. Air Force, with the help of private aerospace companies, built a tactical reconnaissance craft known as the TR-3B, or Astra, in the 1980s. Fauch called it the most exotic and classified aerospace vehicle that could fly to the edge of space. That's the Kármán line. Okay. Black Triangle would be called a hoax or natural aerial phenomena if Belgian Army Colonel André Armand did not see it himself, along with his wife. He claimed to have seen silently floating lights above his car in December 1989. The same description was given by other police officers, and one of them said it was like lights on a huge football field. They suspected they were U.S. military experimental aircraft, but the U.S. Embassy in Brussels denied it. Of course they did. As it was connected to national security, the Belgian Air Force, aviation authorities, and police conducted an investigation and sent F-16 aircraft to catch one of the unidentified intruders. The pilots intercepted the craft into their radar, but it showed an unusual behavior such as jumping huge distances in seconds and accelerating beyond human capacity. According to General Wilfred de Brouwer, retired Major General of the Belgian Air Force. Another similar craft was seen in Hampshire, southeast England, in September 1994, and according to the reports, a top-secret U.S. spy plane crashed at the British Experimental Air Base in Buscombe Down. British Special Air Service arrived at the scene, protected the wreckage of the craft, and hid it inside the hangar. 2 days later, a giant C-5 Galaxy transport aircraft arrived at the hangar, and it is believed to have taken the wreckage back to the U.S. British Ministry of Defense and U.S. Department of Defense both denied the story, but the witnesses were sure that it had happened. The reports of witnessing Aurora aircraft also came from Netherlands and Scotland. Oh, don't give me a pop-up. On August 8th, 1998, Edgar Fauch spoke at the UFO Congress explaining some of the U.S. military's top-secret programs, including the Aurora program. He received this information from his friends who worked for the CIA, U.S. Air Force, and Department of Defense. They must be so thrilled he's out there doing the talk circuit.
Yeah, he's drowning in alphabet soup.
Yeah, I know. One of his friends told Fauch about the landing of a pitch-black triangular-shaped TR-3B craft codenamed Astra at the Groom Lake facility, Area 51, where he worked. Ooh. He recalled seeing this massive craft that stretched across 600 feet. According to Fauch, at least 3 such craft were flying in 1994, and the budget was more than $3 billion. This program was funded by the CIA, NSA, and the National Reconnaissance Office. He said that the TR-3B flying triangle was developed using reverse-engineered magnetic field disruptor, MFD, technology. With the vehicle mass reduced by 89%, the craft can travel at Mach 9, vertically or horizontally, and my sources say the performance is limited only to the stresses that the human pilots can endure, which is a lot, really, considering along with 89% reduction in mass, the G-forces are also reduced by 89%, he explained. So it really apparently affects the whole deal, including the pilot. How did the U.S. possess such advanced technology in the 80s? Fauch, friend Dale sent him the documents, of Majestic 12, obtained by his father, who had been working for the NSA for 20 years MJ-12 committee was supported by the United States Department of Energy and the NSA, as their job was to recover the wreckage from UFO crashes. So, all the knowledge about exotic materials, advanced aviation, and propulsion engines came from reverse engineering of recovered alien artifacts by the MJ-12. The information about the MJ-12 can also be found in the FBI archives with a memo titled Operation Majestic 12, but the U.S. Air Force called the document fake.
Of course they did.
Of course they did. If the Black Triangle sightings had happened only in the United States, it would have been easier for the government to hide the truth, but the sightings from Belgium and Scotland show some authenticity to the matter. And there's other links in here. That's really cool. That's really cool. I guess we could check out some of these because we have the time. I wasn't sure how quickly I could read that, but whoa, where'd it go? There it is. 30 years later, we still don't know what happened during the Belgian UFO wave. This is another article from theweek.com. Let me blow this up so I can read it a little better. Because
it's tiny font.
It's tiny font. It's getting tinier as I get older. I don't think it's actually shrinking. I just think it's a function of my fine eyes. All right. At first, the witnesses claimed all you noticed were the lights. They were so bright you could read by them, so brilliant that a policeman described them as like lights on a huge football field. Only gradually did you notice the object they emitted from, a hulking triangular shape, and 3 enormous spotlights pointed towards the ground, and a red flashing light at its center. The whole thing, recalled the policeman as if barely able to believe it himself, was floating in the air. It was a clear November night in 1989 when the town of Eupen, Belgium, which sits some 7 miles from the German border, Heinrich Nicol, the policeman, and his partner Herbert von Montigny called their dispatcher to report an object they'd stumbled on while on a routine patrol. They were told, suddenly they told me they were seeing a strange object in the sky. Albert Kreutz, who was on the receiving end, told Unsolved Mysteries in the 1992 episode. It made no noise. We joked about it and said it might be Santa Claus trying to land.
Oh, my goodness.
But by the time the evening was over, at least 30 different groups and 3 separate pair of policemen would allege to have seen the unidentified flying object, and they wouldn't be the last. Belgium's months-long UFO wave culminated 30 years ago today. Now we're getting old, Don. On March 30th, 1990, in a physics-defying chase through the skies over Europe as 2 Belgian Air Force F-16s pursued mysterious objects on their radar that they couldn't even see. But okay, did aliens really visit Belgium? It certainly seems deeply, deeply unlikely, yet 3 decades later, it's still hard to entirely dismiss the 2,000-odd sightings that took place in the country between November 1989 and April 1990, as Patrick Farron, the president of the Belgian Committee for the Study of Space Phenomena, SOBEPS, SOBEPS, that's awesome, told the Telegraph, "You must know that most of these sightings will have the most banal explanation, but there is a residue which we simply can't explain. And of those, there may be 2 or 3 where we may have questions over where they came from." Interesting. Lots can be ruled out, though. For example, a classic photograph of the triangle-shaped aircraft known as the Petit Richon picture is without a doubt a hoax. The forger admitted as much when he came forward in 2011. "We made the model with polystyrene, we painted it, and then we started sticking things to it, and we suspended it in the air, and we took the photo." The prankster confessed to Reuters. Brian Dunning, the writer and producer of the podcast Skeptoid, also refutes a number of the sightings, arguing that the November apparitions were in fact a helicopter, and that the police officers were interviewed by a biased ufologist. Conflicting information published by Reuters claims instead that the lights over Eupen were from a Soviet satellite breaking up, Wow. You got to wonder if some of those skeptical people are actually just plants. They're supposed to be skeptical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like ice crystals coming through clouds creating
Right.
the Japan Airlines sightings, right? Regardless of where things really start to get strange is in March 1990. At that point, there had been months of sporadic sightings throughout Belgium, including by an army colonel, André Armand, who claimed to have seen the lights while driving in his car with his wife in December. The Belgian military, needless to say, was well aware of the descriptions pouring in from across the country, and it had little in the way of answers. Then Chief of Operations of the Air Staff, General Wilfred de Brouwer, who offered his account to investigative reporter Leslie Keane for her 2010 book, UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record, said that his initial belief was that the American military must have been testing some sort of experimental aircraft over his country. He went as far as to file inquiries with the U.S. Embassy in Brussels, prompting the Americans to create a memo dryly titled Belgium and the UFO Issue, which confirmed that no U.S. Air Force stealth aircrafts were operating in the area during the periods in question. The reports were credible enough, though, that Belgian Air Force Federal Aviation Authorities and police devised a plan to try to catch one of the unidentified intruders in action by preparing F-16s to quickly take off if a sighting was ever reported by both the police and a radar station at the same time. Sure enough, as de Brouwer recounts in UFOs, that night came on March 30th when several policemen and 2 military radar stations spotted an unknown object. Once aloft, the Belgian pilots tried to intercept the alleged craft, and at one point recorded targets on their radar with unusual behavior, such as jumping huge distance in seconds and accelerating beyond human capacity, de Brouwer writes. But frustratingly, the pilots never managed to actually see the object they were pursuing. After analysis of the aircraft's readings, the Air Force decision was that the evidence was insufficient to prove that there were real craft in the air on that occasion. De Brouwer reports, still, through 1990, the Air Force was asked and could never specifically account for the sightings, which, all told, numbered in the thousands by the time they quietly started going away again in April. 3 decades later, explanations are still in short supply, although some scientists now consider the event to be an example of mass hysteria. Dunning, quoting UFO skeptic Philip Klass, writes, "Once news coverage leads the public to believe that UFOs may be in the vicinity, there are numerous natural and man-made objects which, especially when seen at night, can take on unusual characteristics in the minds of hopeful viewers. Their UFO report, in turn, adds to the mass excitement, which encourages still more observers to watch for UFOs." Why? I mean, if they're there and more people see it.
That's so horrible. People
I know.
seeing this. Oh, my goodness.
I know, right? So if people see it,
Right.
and then they talk about it, and other people go, "Oh, there's UFOs around, let me start looking," and they see it, that just means they saw it.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's obviously hysteria, Don.
It's obviously
Hysteria. Obviously. Clearly hysteria. But de Brouwer still believes otherwise. "I can conclude with confidence that the observations during what is now known as the Belgian wave were not caused by mass hysteria," he says in UFOs. "The witnesses interviewed by investigators were sincere and honest. They did not previously know each other. Many were surprised by what they saw, and today they are still prepared to confirm their unusual experience. What we do know for certain is that there's a lot we don't yet understand about our universe. Even the U.S. Army has multiple stories of chasing strange, impossible objects through the sky. Mm-hmm. While the Belgian UFO wave likely wasn't a visitation by little green men, it remains without a satisfying answer even all these decades and technological advances later. Today there's not yet any explanation," Armand and the colonel who saw the lights with his wife told Keane. "And that's a pity because I want to know before dying. Give me a correct explanation of my sighting. That is all I can ask." That's really wild. Huh. Mm-hmm. Very cool article. Yeah, the Belgian wave, I think, is pretty popular. You knew about that, right,
Yeah,
Tom?
yeah.
And
I had that time I was getting away from all that stuff, but
okay,
but you know, when you have hundreds, if not thousands, of reports of these triangle shape with these giant lights on them, it's a little more than just your average helicopter. Come on, let's get real about it.
I know it, and it's hard to understand. Like, say, for instance, the Phoenix Lights
Right.
incident, and this is one that I know a little bit about because I actually researched it a little. But the sightings of that craft were like, it was allegedly, according to some observers on the ground in the residential areas, it was like a mile wide.
Right.
This was not just a drone or maybe even a large man-made plane that was traveling slowly. It was silent and that had the little white discs underneath emitting light and was suspended and moved absolutely silently over the sky.
Right.
And they could tell the size of it because it blocked out the stars.
Right.
I mean, it was black itself, but they saw the discs of light.
Right.
And then the blocking out of the stars showed them that this was one solid object,
Right.
not several little objects or something flying in formation.
You know,
So-
it blows me away, you know, that, okay, so like one time my oldest son and I, we were out playing airsoft at night.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he was up in a tree. And I shot him in that tree. And he's like, how did you see me? I said, I didn't see you. What I didn't see behind you was the lights that should have been shining through those trees.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So sometimes it's not what's there. Sometimes it's what's not there
That's a
that
good
you
point.
expect to be there.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with this idea that, of, you know, it blocking out the stars,
Mm-hmm.
you know there should be some star shine up there somewhere. But when you've got to look this way and you've got to look that way so far, it kind of really boggles the mind when it, you know, blots out a star field.
Right.
You know, so yeah, whatever, you know, okay.
No, I'm curious if this narrative will change with the more, I don't know if I should dare say forthcoming attitude, but at least there's, the Pentagon is now, you know, authenticated that those Tic Tac craft were legitimately seen by pilots. They don't know what they are.
They are unidentified.
Right, that they are truly unidentified. And the report coming out that says there was other things as well, that they don't know what they are. Which to me is really not, it's not a denial, but it's not an admission either. And,
Right.
And maybe that's fair because really, we don't know what's in those things. We don't know who's driving them or what's going on. We just know there's something in our airspace that it's well advanced of what we're capable of.
Right.
So that, I think, in and of itself is a huge admission, even though it's not really an admission because
Right.
they're not saying it's swamp gas reflecting off of Venus or something like that. They're saying, look, there's something there. It was a radar hit, you know, and so maybe there'll be more of a frank response to this, whatever they might know.
Right.
At least, you know, I hope that we're getting towards the end of this tenacity of established groups to feed out this misinformation and having hired skeptics. I can only assume that they do, but it seems like they must have hired skeptics that are meant to just to obfuscate things
Right.
and make it confusing.
Yeah. You know, and omission of facts is still a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a lie. You're still lying. Just because you didn't mention it doesn't mean that you didn't lie about it.
Right.
So, you know, because even in law enforcement, you know, if you omit saying something, which means you didn't tell the whole truth, you didn't tell the facts, still means that you're hiding something.
Right.
So maybe it was hiding behind the big giant craft that was blotting out the sky. I don't know.
There's an
That's
old
apparently
saying
where the truth is.
There's an old saying that I like a lot, and it's like, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Right.
And I think that's really important because we oftentimes are looking for somebody to substantiate something.
Right.
But and maybe they just can't. Maybe
Right.
there's no, because they don't have the knowledge either. So they can't say, look, guys, we're being visited by Martians or by Venusians or by Pleiadians or whatever,
Right.
insert, extraterrestrial here.
Exactly.
It's what they can say with clarity is that something's being observed. We don't know what it is.
But now you're just making excuses.
Maybe, but maybe not. I mean, literally, the government is run by people,
Right.
and people are fallible. People don't have all the answers, and I don't think that because they're in government, they got necessarily a whole lot more answers. They probably know a whole lot more about what's going on.
Right.
But in terms of these things, they may be just as in the dark as all of us.
Right.
That's. But depending on whether you believe in the Greada Treaty and all of that, if that's the case, and there's this secret pact going on, maybe they have to, not be forthcoming too. I don't know.
Wow. Can you believe what time it is?
It's almost the last break.
Yep.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our last break, and we'll be back with an article from our very good friend, Mr. Brent Swanser, that's talking about more UFO strangeness. So stay tuned. Don't go away. Use the loo, get a drink, and we'll meet you right back here in just a couple minutes. Don't go away. We're going to take attendance. You never know. Might be a test. I'm just saying. All right. back. We are almost back. We're still waiting for the network to pick up as usual, but
Yeah.
we're back.
Android Purity says Brent Don went for more pizza. Actually, that one piece I had, I'm pretty full.
It's really rich, isn't it? I mean, it's really good, but it's really rich pizza. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for the last half hour of our journey tonight. It's gone really quickly, hasn't it?
It is.
Oof, I can't tell you. Can't even tell you how quickly that's gone. But thank you all for being here. It's great to see all of you here. We got one more article to go through. Well, maybe more. We'll see how quickly this goes. But we are covering UFOs and all kinds of other strangeness tonight, dealing with UFOs and encounters with UFOs mostly. And we've covered some great stuff, including Bob Lazar. And if you just coming in, you missed a truckload, but you can always watch it again. The phone number for the show, if you want to call in, is 720-923-0500.
0500.
That's right. You passed, Don.
Thank you.
It looks like our attendance is doing good, Don. I said I was going to take attendance, and the attendance is looking good. So
excellent.
I guess we can proceed with our journey the last half hour. Oof. How did this go so quick?
We have fun.
We do. Hey, speaking of next weekend.
Oh, gosh.
What do we got going on next weekend, Don?
We got a long weekend. Flying here, flying there, driving up, driving back.
Where are we going, Don?
Kelso, Washington to Squatch Fest.
We're going to be there.
2021.
We're going to be at Squatch Fest in Kelso, Washington, and we are absolutely excited and hope you guys will be there. Any of you that are in the area or can be in the area, would love to have you come by and say hello to us. We're going to be there. We're not doing a booth or anything. We're just going to be there because having a booth is very limiting, and Don and I like to like to see things.
You know, when we were at Medellin Falls, which by the way is this.
Yes.
It was awesome. We were up on stage and we were sitting right behind the speakers, and it was great. Don't get me wrong, but dang, we missed out on a lot of
other things that were going on.
So we're gonna have to figure something else out next year.
Yeah. Well, you know, we
need to automate the system.
Hopefully, they want us to be a part of it.
That's true, and we're looking forward to them asking.
Yeah,
us.
absolutely.
We'll wait for that, though.
We love that, and we're really looking forward to being in Kelso. So if you're in the neighborhood,
Karen's gonna be there.
Woo, Karen. Hopefully, we'll see you.
See you again.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Karen in Medellin Falls.
Justin says he'll be there. Nice.
Yes.
Hey, we'll actually have time to hang out. Absolutely.
We won't be
because we don't have a booth. We're not going to have to be here or there. You know, so we'll hang out some.
We're gonna be free agents.
Yeah.
So that means we're
man on the street kind of stuff.
We're there to mingle.
Yeah, exactly.
Man on the street. We might be kicked out on the street. We'll see how this goes.
Did you guys pay? Yeah, I got the receipt right here. Get out. You're that Longbeard guy, huh?
Where's your wristband?
Yeah, exactly.
What wristband? I left it at home.
Why is there an X on it? Why is it dated 2020?
Yeah, well, we're going to be there, so we hope you're there, and if you can be there, so check it out. It is at Kelso, Washington, which is right around the Portland area, right?
Tracy Gale says a Canadian, yes, Portland area, about 40 minutes north and past Vancouver, Washington, up a little bit more.
Fantastic.
Tracy Gale says a Canadian appearance would be great.
It would be great.
Wow, it would be.
Although I guess
I don't think they're letting Americans in.
Even if they are, they might not let us in.
Well, those are those two yokels from down.
Yeah, we heard about you guys. So, well, we're going to be in Kelso. We hope you guys, any of you that are in the area, would love to see you. Would love to meet you if we haven't already, and if we haven't met you already, it'll be great to see you again. So that's going on this upcoming weekend. We're going to be there with like the whole thing, right?
Yeah, we're going to be there Friday night, Saturday, and then we'll have to take off Sunday.
Yeah.
But we'll be there because the doors open Friday at 4.
Yeah.
We'll be there. And then they close at like 8 or 10, I think 8. And then they're open all day Saturday. We'll be there except for like food time because, you know, we got to, you know, we have to. I may be fat, but I've got to, you know, maintain my ghoulish figure.
It takes a lot of calories to look this good, let me tell you. This doesn't come easy. All right, so we're going to be there. Hopefully you'll be there. But let's move on to our article. We're going to cover from our very good friend, Mr. Brent Swanser. He's a phenomenal journalist, paranormal journalist. I mean, he's just sending me links to articles all the time. He's spitting them out like crazy about things I've never even heard of. This guy just got his finger on the pulse of everything.
Where the hell is he finding
I just
this stuff?
messaged him that today. I said, where the hell do you hear about this stuff? I'm like, wow, it's just amazing. So he writes for mysteriousuniverse.org, and we're always promoting him because, one, he's a good friend. Two, he does a phenomenal job.
Yes.
And three, because he likes us, apparently.
Apparently so.
It's just always a bonus. Anybody likes us, we'll definitely be happy to promote you as well. No, so let's get to this. This is strange submarine encounters with underwater UFOs. So this would be USOs, right?
USOs, yeah.
Unidentified submersible objects. But they are often seen coming out of water, going into water.
Kind of like Nessie.
From New Zealand?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm sure she swims.
Maybe.
She probably swims.
I don't have to swim. I just float.
So let's get to this
very
article.
buoyant.
This is again from mysteriousuniverse.org. Strange submersible submarine encounters with underwater UFOs. Sorry, I'll learn to read someday too. In recent years, there's been an increasing coverage of military encounters with UFOs, and the U.S. government surprisingly acknowledging such incidents. And while avoiding saying these things are otherworldly, they're not denying it either. Yet, while most people have their eyes trained on the skies, a lesser-known aspect of this ongoing phenomena is what seems to be going on underwater. One area of the UFO phenomena that doesn't seem to get as much coverage is that of what are called USOs, or unidentified submersible objects, basically underwater UFOs, which are every bit as strange as their sky-going brethren, and with which military submarines have had very bizarre encounters. And I've never heard of any of these, so this is really exciting. Some interesting cases of USOs have been reported by personnel within the U.S. Navy, from which there has been footage released showing UFOs entering the water. Chief among the proposed evidence for this is a video taken off of the coast of San Diego in July of 2019 by a crew aboard the USS Omaha. The video, which is released by UFO researcher and investigative filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, shows a spherical object fly over the vessel before coming down to make a controlled descent into the water, with a crew member heard to exclaim, "Wow, it splashed." The video caused quite a stir online, but it would become even more interesting when information would come out that at around the same time, U.S. submarines were also picking up mysterious objects underwater that seemed to defy physics. The Navy confirmed that the footage was authentic and explained and unexplained, and the Washington Examiner's Tom Rogan has said of this in connection with the USS Omaha footage. Relevant to this video, an area we will learn more about is the interaction between U.S. Navy submarines, nuclear ballistic submarines, and attack submarines, picking up sonar contact with things moving at hundreds of knots under the water. Wow. There is an undersea dimension to this on top of what the pilots are seeing above the water. Hundreds of knots underwater? I don't think people can digest that. That is what I have heard from very good sources, and that the U.S. Navy has the data. Another report concerning submarines came in the wake of the well-known USS Nimitz UFO incident, during which a fleet of U.S. Navy vessels was constantly buzzed by unidentified flying objects. According to former United States Air Force intelligence expert Mike Turber, in one incident, a U.S. Navy submarine encountered a mysterious craft hurtling at 550 miles per hour through the water.
Wow.
In 2008, which looked exactly like the tic-tac-shaped craft sighted by the crew of the USS Nimitz. Turber would say of the incident, there was a submarine situation. That report will probably come out further down the line. It, the tic-tac object, was traveling at 550 miles per hour. As far as I know, it was a Los Angeles-class submarine. It was kind of in passing when someone mentioned it. I thought it was just a torpedo, but apparently not. Now, commercial airliners fly somewhere around the 400 to 600 mile an hour range.
Yeah, 4 to 750, yeah.
And so 550 miles per hour under the water.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the pressure that would exert flying through water on the craft itself. I mean, it just seems like it would be an amazing amount of pressure displacing that much water that rapidly. So whatever's going on is just incredible. Another incident came to light in 2017 when former Blink-182 frontman, avid UFO researcher, and founder of the UFO research group To the Stars Academy. Oh, I hate that name. I just hate that name. It sounds like a talent show. Tom DeLonge, which released a previously unknown report that is allegedly a first-hand account of astronomer and UFO researcher Mark D'Antonio, who often works with the Navy and was granted a ride aboard a nuclear fast attack submarine in the North Atlantic and had a rather mysterious experience. He would say of this, "As a thank you for doing some work for them, the Navy asked me if I wanted to go for a ride in a submarine, so I said, yeah. Once we got under, I was sitting in the sonar station, and the sonar operator was sitting right next to me. Submarines are loud. People think that they're very quiet, and it's true, they are on the outside because the sound doesn't get out. But inside, you hear fans, noise. It's constant din on a sub. And I was sitting there zoning out a little because I was seasick. And all of a sudden, the sonar kid shouts, 'Fast mover, fast mover.' And I'm jolted awake, thinking, what's happening? Is it a torpedo? The executive officer comes out, and the operator shows him the path of the object, and the officer says, 'How fast is that going?' And the kid said, 'Several hundred knots.' Well, I start to lean forward and listen in, and the officer said, 'Can you confirm it?' So he goes to another sonar machine and confirmed it wasn't a machine anomaly. It was real. I thought, wow, that is incredible. When the sonar guy said, 'What do I do with this?' the officer said, 'Log it and dog it.' In other words, log it and bury it. According to DeLonge, multiple nuclear attack submarines would track the strangest object through the North Atlantic for about a week. Not only this, he claims there was a government organization devoted to tracking these underwater objects. When a few years later, Mark spoke to a senior naval officer about the incident, he was given the cold shoulder, but he was able to confirm that what he calls the Fast Mover Program, a military investigation of USOs, exists. Mm-hmm. He has said of this, I asked him, "Can you tell me about the Fast Mover Program?" He looked at me and said, "Sorry, Mark, I can't talk about that program." So he basically confirmed to me that the program exists. Mm-hmm. He said everything without saying anything. What that told me was that USOs are common. We even have a program in place to classify and log and determine the speed of them, and it goes into a vault. Wow. According to the site The Drive, they interviewed a veteran sonar operator and instructor turned pro gamer called Jive Turkey. His name's Jive Turkey. And asked him about any strange experiences he had ever had with USOs. And he had this to say, "I don't know what they are. We usually logged it as seismic or biological. We're instructed that nothing is ever unknown. That's the thing. It's so quick you can't measure the speed. In the examples I am thinking of, it is a detection that lasts a few seconds on the towed array. There is no way to measure the speed accurately because there isn't enough data."
No, it just shoots right through.
Right. The drive is rather skeptical of the 2017 DeLonge report. What?
Nothing?
Oh, okay. Though citing that the military does not give out free rides aboard submarines to civilians, and the release of the story was done in an amateurish way. While they come to the conclusion that Navy submarines do indeed have some unusual encounters and hear some strange things down in the deep, they have said about the 2017 DeLonge D'Antonio incident, "We talked with a number of sources during our investigation. What we learned is that, yes, unexplained noises and even tracked contacts do pop up on submarine sonars, some of which seem to move off at incredible speeds. But it is rare, and the data is often inconclusive. And peculiarly so." Wow. Why am I having trouble with that? What is that?
Peculiarly.
Thank you. Is that the Navy doesn't actually have a way to classify these strange sounds as unknown and tag them for further review. The biggest takeaway here is that the mysterious sounds do emanate from the deep and are heard by the most talented sonar operators in the world, working the most advanced underwater listening equipment ever created. But the Navy seems to have made it all but impossible to classify these events for further review, as sonar operators aren't allowed to not know what something is. As for a quarter of American submarines pinning an impossible to identify craft down in the depths of the Atlantic, we're still waiting to see any evidence of anything like that occurring. It doesn't do the To the Stars Academy or DeLong any favors teasing such information in such an amateurish way either. Ooh, wow. That was a little uppercut.
Yeah, I like it.
This is unfortunate considering the high aims of the To the Stars Academy and the impressive brain trust they have amassed. Americans are not the only ones who have had military submarine encounters with these mysterious USOs. British UFO investigator Philip Mantle has mentioned several such cases involving Soviet submarines. In his book, Russia USO Secrets, which is based on information coming from declassified documents and testimony from the Russian military veterans, one such account comes from former nuclear submarine commander Yuri Beketov, who says his submarine was doing maneuvers somewhere near the Bermuda Triangle when they had a strange encounter, of which he says USOs be the cause of the bloop sound. That's a great question, Rachel. I don't know. The bloop sound was a big anomaly in the ocean, but I think it was believed to be a biological sound, but very good question. I don't know. That's a great question. But he says, we repeatedly observed that the instruments detected the movements of material objects at unimaginable speed, around 230 knots or 400 kilometers per hour. It's hard to reach that speed on the surface. Only in the air is it possible. The beings that created those material objects significantly exceeded us in development. A particular harrowing report mentioned in the book allegedly happened in 1951 when a Soviet submarine encountered a massive underwater object which measured 200 to 250 meters long and was supposedly rising from the depths as it headed towards the shore. According to the account, the captain actually ordered the depth charges to be dropped on the object, which seemed to have no effect, but which nevertheless caused it to stop its ascent, change course, and head out to deeper water at great speed. What is going on here? Indeed, what was going on in any of these cases? It would seem that these craft, whatever they are just as active below the surface as they are above. And it leads us to wonder just what is going on. Are these some sort of misidentification, a top secret new type of underwater vessel, or what? There's no way to tell, but it seems that whatever they are, they have baffled military officials and serve to show that the USO phenomena is no joke and is probably worth looking into further. Mm-hmm. Very, very good article. Wow. Again, I have no idea where this guy finds this stuff out. He's just so into the pulse of all these things. But that's Brent Swanser for you. And you can find more of Brent Swanser and his stuff at his group online on Facebook is Dark League Paranormal. And I suggest you get involved over there if you're interested in the articles that we're sharing or just in getting to know the guy or the community over there. It's a fun community. Like it's weekends now, so they post movie clips from favorite clips or favorite movies, and it's great fun.
Geeky Gardens in YouTube says, in my Navy days in the 70s, we did some unexplained signals on sonar buoys. We didn't discuss them.
Oh. So you were just told not to discuss. Yeah. That's interesting. And this is from a person that was there. See, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that you guys have such varied backgrounds and can speak to this stuff. I don't know, man. I'm sure. Here's the thing. There's been people seeing USOs all over the place, and it's not necessarily just oceans.
Right.
There's reports of them going into ponds, into lakes, into rivers. I don't know. I guess if there are indeed aliens here, and I think there's a real good possibility that they're here. I mean, I firmly believe it myself, but believe what you want. But if you were a presence from off this world, where would you go to set up a base? Well, you go somewhere where people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest place we aren't is in the water. I mean, we're really barely in the water on comparison to what we are on land. And even in the skies, we're very, it's almost like another planet in the water for us. Obviously, we can't survive there without really special equipment, and to the depths that are capable in the water, we can't even go. So, it stands to reason that they would be in the water, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I have an interesting idea, though. So somebody asked, is there like a speed barrier underwater? I suppose there is. Would they create some kind of a sonic boom? I imagine there would be. But here's the thing. So we've been talking about all these die-offs of like dolphins and whales and things like that. And people are saying, oh, it's NOAA and the HARP program, and things like that. What if part of that is because if you take a stick of dynamite and you drop it in a lake, it's going to kill any fish life in a certain area, right?
Sure.
Because what it does is it robs the water of the oxygen. It just blows it out. And so basically fish drowned, oddly enough, and they float to the surface, and you can gather them up and eat them. There's nothing wrong with them. You haven't blown them up. They just died.
Oh.
So what if, some of these USOs are creating some kind of a sonic boom underwater and killing some of these larger aquatic animals, whether it be whales or dolphins or schools of fish. We read about these fish and ocean going mammals and things like that washing up on the shore. What if they encountered something that created a sonic boom and robbed the oxygen? But see, it wouldn't make sense for mammals in general,
Sure.
Because whales have huge lungs. But fish certainly, jellyfish, so ideas.
Yeah, it's a great thought. I thought that the explosion might have ruptured. Don't they have like a air bladder in them?
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, that might be more.
That might rupture.
Yeah, and that might be why it may kill ocean-going mammals, because the lungs explode or whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah, because have you ever been to the drag races and you sit right there, down, on the raceway, and you can feel those methanes going by you, and you can just feel your chest press in.
Oh, really?
And it compresses, and it's like, it's an incredible feeling.
I've never felt that. No.
Oh, it's awesome. I love drag racing.
Oh, okay.
Or at least I love watching drag racing
Sure.
as close as I can get. But those super methanes, they just, and you just feel it. It's like this bass wave that just pounds into you.
Yeah.
Thank you, G. Explosions. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And this would be, that would be an explosion. So just ideas, they could, compress the rib cage and squeeze the air out, or burst the what'd you say, the air sacs,
like a bladder of air that they use for buoyancy, much like a submarine. Yeah. So, that's interesting thoughts. Now, I think that's very possible. Android says if all UFOs use gravity propulsion, like Bob Lazar said, then in terms of physics, they can likely all fly below water if they want. Yeah, when I was talking about pushing water and the pressure,
right,
that was just in fundamental theories. I don't believe, like even when UFOs are going through the air, I don't believe that I don't think they even release sonic booms when they break the sound barrier, because of whatever they're doing, they seem to have a field around them that makes that not happen. And so I'm sure that that's probably the same thing in the water, is that they're displacing it around them rather than actually pushing through it. Like we in our development, we can push through air. We can use the pressure of air to keep things aloft and flying. And we utilize, of course, sails to grab air and do that. So we're basically harnessing the forces that are there, or fighting the forces that are there.
Right.
But I think these craft are utilizing some methodology that exempts them from things like inertia and all of that, and that's why it can perform all these things, much like was mentioned in the Bob Lazar
exactly.
thing.
Bob Lazar said that this is what they do.
Right.
Instead of pushing what they do is they open the gravity waves in front of them, and they create a void that they can pass through. And because they can do this, they can obtain these incredible speeds that we couldn't imagine.
Right.
Like hundreds of Gs. I think it's like at 5 Gs, you start to pass out.
Oh,
and at
sure.
10 Gs, you might as well just be dead. You're just a greasy, gloppy red goo.
Like how I feel every morning.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. But, this propulsion is actually bending the particles out of the way, creating a void of nothing.
Right. It's
That
like
they can pass through easily. And and so when it comes back, aerodynamics say, when it comes up and over, it'll come down and push.
Right.
So it's not using anything to propel itself.
Right. Yeah,
But anyhow, Bob Lazar talks about that in the Jeremy Corbell. But what if they do that underwater? Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if they can part the water like Moses and just kind of mosey through?
Right.
I wonder if that's where that mosey came from the Moses. Just kind of mosey through the.
Maybe. I think those are all great points, and it's interesting.
Not UG, not 10 Gs. 10 units of
We
gravity.
can't even handle one. What are you talking about?
All right, folks. It looks like we're at the end of our journey.
Okay.
We got there, but I hope you guys had a good time. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow night for the Saturday 2-hour show, so I hope you'll join me then. But, Don, it's been great having you back, brother.
Thank you. It's been great being back.
Okay, and hope you guys have a great night. Anything in closing quick?
Good night.
Okay.
We missed you.
We missed you. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. Stick around for Paisley Wild coming up next. That's it.
Good night.
Oh.